I hope it's a success. I hope it's a successful trip.
Kim, we can't hear you, or I can't.
Yeah, you're muted. Kim.
Welcome to the Institute of Jewish Knowledge and Learning. We are so happy to be here with Rabbi Akiva Mann as we discover the Tanya behind Chabad. Take it away, Rabbi.
Okay, thank you, Kim. Hello, everybody. I missed you last week, I think. Hope everyone's July 4th was memorable. Okay, so where were we? Where were we?
Were we in between, or did we pass being in between?
We passed being in between. But we established that we are always on that tightrope. We are always on that tightrope. That is part of. I do believe it's part of being alive is walking the tightrope. I don't see any way out of that, actually, in this dimension of living. This dimension is living by walking the tightrope and being as good at it and as tranquil on it as we possibly can. If anyone has anything to say about that, please. But we in a sense, I think it's very important. And Shneur Zalman entitled his book, "The Book of the Beinoni." The book, I think we can translate Beinoni, the middle one. I think we can use a synonym for that is the book of those that walk the tightrope. And I don't think there's any way of getting past that. Once we know, once we have this realization that we're walking a tightrope, we are able, in Shneur Zalman's mind, we are able to play the game properly and to its fullest. If we keep on getting amazed and surprised that life is a tightrope, then we're in constant trauma. Let's get used to it. So I think we ended. I think we ended last week with the historical idea, the historical context of Shneur Zalman living in the same time as the Enlightenment, which was just beginning in Europe, which we all, for those students of history, we all know that the period of Enlightenment, mamish changed the trajectory of human civilization and human consciousness. We do. It's an extremely important evolutionary stage in human development, where we went from crawling. So human evolution and human progress was always evolving. but we were going, if you take the broad look at history, we were going until then, we were going very, very, very slowly. We were evolving very slowly. And come the age of enlightenment, we went from 2 miles an hour to the equivalent of 30 miles an hour in terms of what the Enlightenment did to human civilization. We just started speeding up in a very good way, in a positive manner. And if we take that period of time and we look at our period of time, the days in which we live, contemporary times, we went from 30 miles an hour to 70 miles an hour. Right now, we are, the trajectory of human evolution is above the speed limit of I-95. We are speeding. And we are going very fast, very fast.
Rabbi, where are we speeding to?
That's an excellent question that I don't think enough people have put proper thought into that question. Where are we speeding to? All I'm saying is that I have this very, very clear realization that we are speeding. Exactly where we are going, ich weiß nicht. I'm not 100% sure whether the deep thinkers of the world, I'm talking about the technological world, the spiritual world, the cultural, on all levels. I don't know whether we have yet merited the thinkers that are addressing Shabri that exact question. Where exactly are we going, and where can we anticipate ending up? I don't think enough thought has been put into that, but it's a good question, and I don't know the answer to that.
I think there are stop signs along the speedway. That stop sign may require God, a doctor, or money, or many other things, but you just can't keep speeding. Something happens in your life that gives you stop.
Yes, I think if you want to metaphorically, I think there are going to be stop signs. I think there are going to be there's going to be road bumps and obstacles in the way. There are going to be potholes along the way to help some wise people put us back onto a track that we at least become aware of where we are going with this. But so I don't know the answer to it, but I just want you to be aware of the capacity in which the context in which Reb Shneur Zalman is talking. He is part and parcel in his own way, part of this wave of speeding up the enlightened mind of civilization, and he's a great contributor to it. He's living in it, and he's contributing to it in a very spiritual manner, So I think we ended with, I think it's a beautiful thought. Who was the great prototype of what one of the great models of this great enlightenment was Spinoza, and Spinoza was the consummate, ultimate model of the new enlightenment, the intelligentsia, the scientific and intellectual, academic, forward-thinking kind of philosopher. And this is, I think, an important metaphor for us to use. So he was like a very heady person. He was very heady. And he was once asked, Spinoza, you have in your books many a time in your philosophical works that you love God, that you love God. And they asked him, how is that? How is that? You're the ultimate intellectual. And within the question, there is this implication that knowing God and loving God, knowing God is an intellectual, academic, Aristotelian, Maimonidean knowing God. But how can you say that you love God? And Spinoza answers, because it, on a certain level, I think we get this dichotomy between knowledge, intellectual activity, and love. We sort of, I think, falsely put them in two sides of the spectrum, intellect and love. And they said, how can you say you love God? And he simply answers, I love God with my intellect. Something like Maimonides would say, I love God with my intellect, which means that sometimes, friends, that happens. The bridge between intellectualism and love. It sometimes happens that for some people, there is an actual spill over from mind to heart. That intellectualism, and these are words that are so, this is what we're going to do today. The word intellectualism is not the greatest word, and it's not the greatest description of what we're even talking about. And Rabbi Shneur Zalman is going to take this kind of metaphorical thing that there is a spillover from the mind into the heart, where the mind and heart become one, and that there is actually no dichotomy, there is no difference, there is no battle between mind and heart. They are the selbe Sach. They're not opponents. They are not two separate camps. They are the same camp. So when Reb Shneur Zalman is talking about the importance of Chabad, that is talking about that we have to start with the brains. And when he says brains, he is not talking about the brains. He's talking about the Hebrew word is mochin. moach is actually the literal translation is the brains, but it means our complete mental activity. And I wish I would have prepared this thing in maybe a little graphic, but maybe it's better that it's not graphic. Maybe it's better that we create the graphic in our mind. So think of Chabad, Chet, Bet, and Daled. So we're going to start with Chachma, and we're gonna get deep into what does the Hebrew word, the English word for Chachma is wisdom. But we're going to find out that we're going to read, I think we're going to redefine what wisdom actually means. So at that early time when Reb Shneur Zalman is living, he compared Chachma to the left hemisphere of the brain, and Bina to the I'm sorry, to the right. The Chachma is the right hemisphere of the brain, and Bina is the left hemisphere of the brain. What does that mean? It means in contemporary language that Chachma, and friends, I want you to take this very personally. I want us to take this, think very much of yourselves and how your Chachma energy center works. Take this very personally. Chachma is the part of your moach, the part of your brain power that has the capacity for aha. It's like the eureka moment. We're going to get deeper into that. That's the right side of your brain. The left side of your brain is Bina, is the analytical part. Thorough understanding or thorough analysis of the aha thought. Analysis, dissecting that very large into little segments so I can have a clearer understanding. And the Chabad, the Daled, is the cerebrum of the brain. That's the little brain. That's the little brain in the back. And that's where the switchboard is. I think we ended last week at this. That's where our switchboard is. What does a switchboard mean? The da'at, which is translated as knowledge, by the way. So we have wisdom, understanding, knowledge. How can we remember that? Wisdom, wak, not woke, but wak. Wisdom, understanding, knowledge. Knowledge, da'at, is the place in my mental capacity that I program myself to pay attention, what to pay attention to. What I pay attention to, and actually also what I tune out. Da'at is our filter, our capacity for filtering. Because you know that there's millions, millions upon billions of air molecules. I'm actually experiencing that right now because there is klezmer music hucking me a chinik in the background. I am hearing it, but I am using my da'at. There are millions of molecules that hit our eardrums, and you know what? You know what happens? We don't hear them because we have the capacity and ability to not hear them. I am not hearing this klezmer. I'm only hearing it now because I'm mentioning it, but I am not hearing it. I am da'ating. I am using my switchboard, my filter, to totally be concentrating on on my voice and what I am saying and what you are going to say to me, and what's happening in the background through my capacity of dot is being filtered mamish out. I hear them, but they are through my cerebellum. My da'at is saying, do not pay attention. It's not important. This is not important. And we do that all the time. All the time. We are using our chachma and our bina, our capacity for analysis, and then going down to da'at, and our capacity of filtering out what we don't want to hear and what we do want to concentrate on, and that's how we get to the beautiful harmony of chachma, of wisdom, understanding, and da'at, our full capacity for mental health. Any questions so far? Okay. So in fact, da'at is actually, after going through the energy zones of wisdom and understanding and then seeping down into dot, which is the filter, that is actually how we test reality, our own realities. That's how we test reality. It's through da'at. But again, da'at is contingent on our chachma and bina. But we test reality, the reality of our mental capacity and our mental health, through da'at. So let's go back a little bit. Let's go back deeper into chachma. Chachma is spelled chet, chaf, mem, hey. And Reb Shneur Zalman, this is Rabbi Shneur Zalman is quoting from a passage in the Zohar, that the word chachma, this is intriguing, friends. This is intriguing. That the word chachma, which is wisdom, which is aha moments, aha wisdoms. Chachma in Hebrew is a combination of two other Hebrew words. There's a little switch taking place here, but the two words of Chachma is koach ma, the power of what? Wisdom in Hebrew means the shoresh, the essence of what wisdom is derived from two little small words which make up the word wisdom, which is koach ma. Koach means the power or potential. The potential of what? Wisdom means the quality of something. In fact, if you look at the word ma, the potential of ma, of what? The word ma and the word mayim are very, very similar. Ma and mayim. And I think it was either Art Green or Reb Zalman that took the Hebrew word ma, which is what, and said ma, and in Hebrew, ma, what, and mayim, water, are very similar. In Latin, or is it Greek, you have the word qua, Q-U-A, which means what? Which means what? Qua means what? And aqua means also water. That in many languages, what and water come from the same root. Also in German, was means what, and Wasser means water. The connectedness between what and water can be seen in many languages. And what is it pointing to? What is it teaching us? When you see water, you don't know exactly what it is. You don't know if it's poisonous water. You don't know if water is vinegar. You don't know if water is vodka. Water has this elusive kind of character to it, that water and whatness. What is this? What is the quality of this? Ma in Hebrew means the whatness of something. Chachma, what does wisdom ask? Chachma, wisdom, the potential of the what. Chachma asks, what is the essence of this thing that I am investigating or I'm looking at? What is the essence? Wisdom is in Hebrew is a question of what? What is the essence? What is the what? What is the whatness of this thing in front of me? And once we discover the whatness of this thing, whatever it is, or whoever it is, once I discover the whatness, the essence, then that turns into, aha, I have discovered the essence of this thing. Chachma is our capacity to ask, what is the origin? What is the seed level of this thing in front of me? Chachma is that mental capacity that is capable of concept formulation. Chachma is that part of us that creates, that is the conceptualizer. That's our right brain. Now, part of the homework to be done is for the next week, catch yourself in a chachma moment. Not in a bina, not in a dat. In a chachma moment when you find yourself asking, what is this? Then immediately you might start dissecting, you might analyze, you might start analyzing. You might immediately go into the bina mode and then into the dot. But it's so important for us to capture that moment when we are in chachma mode. What is this? What in the world is the big picture behind this thing that I am observing or that I am experiencing? I don't even know what its essence is. I better find out. So homework for next week, catch yourself in a chachma mode. Become friends with that realm of thinking. Let's go further. Bina, left brain. So Bina analyzes chachma into different components. Bina asks questions. Bina dissects. That's where we spend a lot of our time, actually. Bina dissects and then analyzes. The Hebrew word bina, believe it or not, bina comes from the word boneh, to build. What's the connection between dissecting and analyzing and building? Bina means to take things apart so you can understand how it was put together, how it was built. Bina is the analysis of, let's say, if we're going to use the model of a building, Bina means I'm going to dissect this building from its foundation to the multiplicity of the stories, and then the beams that are going up the 40 stories, and how it is supported and how it's not collapsing. So in a sense, Bina, taking things apart in order to see how it was built, is the same Hebrew word. Analysis and building is the same word. Dissecting and building is the same word. And we do spend a lot of time in Bina. So Chachma is the total acknowledgement and recognition of the essence of a thing. Chachma is the big picture, not the parts. And that's why Chachma is koachma, the potentiality of what is, because it's a very big picture. Bina is going to be the analysis of the big picture. And Da'at, friends, without Da'at, which is called in more contemporary scientific, is called the little brain. Without Da'at, I would quickly, we all would be quickly distracted from what I say or what I do. I would be so distracted by Chachma and Bina without the capacity, without the mental capacity of Da'at, of filtering. I would be so distracted from the big picture and the big building that we would actually be speechless. We would be frozen because we would be absolutely overwhelmed if we stayed in Chachma and Bina. We would be overwhelmed by it. We wouldn't be able to move. We wouldn't be able to react. We'd be paralyzed by the big picture. So Da'at is our filter and our entrance into reality. So we can use the big picture and the analysis of the big picture and function in the best way possible with it. Da'at is the implementer. So Reb Shneur Zalman, so this is a summary of Chabad, our three capacities of how we view our world, our reality. And he's saying that our capacities of wisdom, understanding, and knowledge is actually what makes me a person. my mind and my will and my feelings. I think it's Art Green who said, after a really true understanding of Chachma, Bina, and Da'at, he mentions that in the 50s and 60s, when American and European scientists were doing like prefrontal lobotomies, and there were a few really powerful movies about that, when they were doing the frontal lobotomies. After that, a person was no longer a full human being. With a diminished capacity of Chachma, Bina, and Das, the fullness of our humanity is absolutely diminished. So in the mind of Shneur Zalman, what makes me a person is not my arms and not my legs and not my nose or my eyes. My moach, my mind, and my midot, my feelings and my will, which are all energized by Chabad, by Chachma, Bina, and Das, that is exactly what humanizes us as human beings. Chachma, Bina, and Dat are the foundations, are the seeds, is the pillar of which Reb Shneur Zalman says that the human soul consists of. If you remember, very similar to Maimonides. Maimonides said the soul is our capacity to think. And Reb Shneur Zalman is doing something very similar, that wisdom, understanding, and the filtering agent of knowledge is really what is the are the three ingredients of which the soul consists of. That's what he calls the nefesh Elokis, the divine capacity, the divine soul within us. These are kind of raw, latent energy zones. And when you think of it, I don't think that I don't think we can get away from that, because he's not defining, he is not excluding emotions from this. He is not excluding love from this. It's not, he is not saying it depends on your soul is the equivalent of your IQ. He's not saying that at all. He's saying our capacity for chachma, for wisdom, understanding, and knowledge is is really what humanizes us. And that what humanizes us is equivalent to the soul level of what energizes us, what creates the humanity within us. And these three energies, he says, are so powerful. They are so full of potential that they cannot be left alone. They cannot be made manifest just by all by themselves. They are so powerful that they require, and this is going to be the important word for the next 20 minutes. They are so powerful that they require livushim. Lamed vet vav shin yud mem. Sofit.
Rabbi,
Livu.
Rabbi,
Yeah.
before we move to Livushim, you have some hands up. Are you ready for them?
Absolutely.
Okay, it'll be Joan, Donna, and then Sandra Poslins. Take it away, Miss Joan.
Hello, Rabbi.
Hi, Jonah.
Before I start, I have to tell you, I loved your written sharing that we got over the weekend.
Oh, thank you.
It was
Thank you.
wonderful. I'm
Thank
playing ball. I'm playing ball.
Play ball. Thank you for saying that. I need feedback.
You're welcome. My question is there a direct translation in English for the word Chabad?
No.
Okay, thank you.
No. And Joan, that's a shtickle on. It's a shtickle unfortunate, and it just tells you about us as social animals, because we can hear Chabad and we can see Chabad, and 98% of people are not interested, are not piqued. Their interest is not, what does that stand for? What is the meaning behind it? It's like it has become like an iconic symbol, an idol, Chabad, and they are not getting the benefit of going like so much deeper into what Chachma, Bina, and Dat, those capacities within the human being that is the essence of the human. The energy flow of the human being is represented in Chabad, Okay, thanks, Joan. But the answer is no.
Thank you.
Donna, Sandra, and now Shabri.
Hi, everybody. Hi, Rabbi. Good to see
Hi,
you.
Donna.
I feel awkward in stating this, but I don't know that I agree with what is being said. And I'd like some clarification. It's on two issues. The first issue has to do with what makes us human, which has a lot to do with our capacity to understand and dissect and have wisdom and knowledge. And that eliminates a portion of our population, children that have autism, for example. And that offends me, if I'm hearing you correctly, that I've worked with autistic children and they have a soul that is totally separate from what it is that you're saying is part of what creates our soul. So I need further explanation because either I'm not getting it or I just don't agree.
No, Donna, I disagree with your conclusion. they're autistic children are going to absolutely employ and use chachma, bina, and da'at in their own individual unique capacities. Period. That's all I have to say about it. Just like I am going to be using my chachma, bina, and da'at in a totally different way that you will. Just as a jungle person, what do they call the Aborigines in Australia who have not seen like urban life, and that are absolutely going to be using their chachma, their capacity for bina and dat, but in a totally different manner than we do. Maybe in a higher manner. We think it's primitive. It might not be. So Reb Shneur Zalman is mamash not excluding the different capacities of using chachma, bina, and dat.
So with that being said, are you referring to, because you mentioned the left brain, the right brain, and the back of the brain, are you talking about our physical brain, or are you talking about the mind? Because you can be brain dead, and then what? You don't have a soul anymore. I just don't get it.
You know, now that, Donna, as opposed to the first question, I hope I clarified the first one, because in no way is he implying different people on a different mental wavelength. He is not saying one is better than the other. He's saying these are the three ingredients that go into any person, any and every person who is thinking. Now, when you start talking already about not mental capacities, when you start talking about the area of brain dead, that is something that is going to have a different response and is probably not for now, that is I categorize that as a totally different area of investigation, spiritually and theologically. So can we leave that like a little bit on hold, because brain dead, according to the theology of Maimonides, and I do believe to an extent what Reb Shneur Zalman is saying, and what Jewish wisdom over the ages has also said, that brain dead is a separate category that actually is separate from the norm, and that it could possibly be that it is borderline, yes, dead, borderline soul dead. But so I'm not answering it right now. I'm saying it could be that the theology could necessarily be that an actual brain dead, scientifically brain dead person is no longer holding on to their soul.
Thank you. Very interesting topic for another class. Sandra and then Shabri. And then after Shabri, we're going back to Rabbi Akiva.
So my question is something that I have been asking for many, many, many years. And I think that you have defined what goes on in my heart as feelings. I want to know where my heart fits into all of this.
Depends what you mean by your heart.
Well,
In Jewish, it's hard. In Jewish tradition, let me put it this way. In Jewish mysticism, we usually go, can you see this?
yes,
We usually go this over here. This is the heart place. And this is the mind place.
yes,
Correct?
yes.
But we go like this. We go our heart on Yom Kippur. We go like that. We wear tefillin on the left arm to be pointing towards the heart. You know what? In Jewish mysticism, the mind place is here. The heart place is here. The heart place is not that little organ that is on the left side of our chests.
Okay, I understand.
It's that's a traditional thing that also is kind of true, but in essence, on the chachma level, on what is it? The heart place, your emotions. You know where your emotions are? Here.
Mhm.
And the Hebrew word for it is mochin. Your thinking capacity. It's not in that little organ that pumps blood. It
No,
isn't.
I know that.
It's all. That's Reb Shneur Zalman's point. It's all here. And there are many metaphors for here. You know what another metaphor for mochin, for brain power is? When the Torah uses, every time the Torah uses the word your eyes, do you see Re'eh Anochi Noten Lifnechem? Do you see? Seeing is a biblical metaphor for realizing, for brain power, for awareness.
Okay.
So our eyes, our hearts, everything. Let's summarize it. Everything, all those metaphors are really here.
Okay, I do understand. Thank you.
Shabri, thank you, Shabri. And then back.
Okay, so Rabbi, a year or two, who knows, when you were teaching us about the tree of life. And we started off with Keter. And then we dropped down to Chokmah and Bina. And you mentioned something to the effect that we won't be studying much of Bima and Chokmah and Keter because it's so fine. The essence of it is so fine that we weren't going to get into it. But you did mention that Chokmah had a luminous flash. So I take that to mean that it's filled with light, just as we are filled with light. And that light holds the intelligence and the knowledge and who we are. So is that the place we go to jump on the evolutionary growth train?
The answer is yes. The answer is yes. First of all, Shabri, thank you for recognizing that 2 or 3 years ago, we have graduated. I did not want to speak about the intricacies of Chachma until 2 or 3 years later, and now we're actually doing it. And whatever we are saying about Chachma today, we are talking about the Chachma within us that mirrors the divine Chachma. So if Chachma to us is the luminous kind of flash moment, the aha moment of realization, of transcendent realization of something that is way up. We for 1 second we envisioned something that is way above our capacity, and then we like came down. That's Chachma, that luminous flash. Imagine what the divine luminous flash. So that's in us. We are mirrors of that divine capacity for. So that's why we didn't speak about it so much then, but now we are speaking about it a little bit as we are able to manifest that divine flash, and it becomes the human luminous flash, and a yearning and a preparation for that luminous flash is actually one of our focuses. We cannot expect a perpetual luminous flash to last all the time, but God Almighty, if King David, in all of his 150 Psalms, you know what he was yearning for in every sentence, in every verse of the Psalms? He was yearning for abyssal of the luminous flash to energize the rest of his spiritual system. So you're right. We do yearn for those flashes.
Yes, and that has to be evolutionary.
I believe it is. I believe it is.
Now, we're all on the same train to go there.
Not all of us bought tickets for that train ride.
Thank you, Rabbi.
Some people choose different modes of travel.
There's a bar at the train station.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right, Rebbe, I'll get back to you
Okay.
with 24
Okay.
minutes.
So friends, some of these energies that are contained within in our wisdom, understanding, and knowledge, these are all energy zones that are the soul, and that is the strongest sources of human vibrations that we are capable of, are contained in Chachma, Bina, and Dat. And because they are so powerful, because they are so raw and full of potential and so latent, they absolutely require levushim. Levushim, the literal translation, but learn the Hebrew, because I want to interchange between Hebrew and English. Levushim. Levushim literally means garments. The garments, the shirt that I'm wearing is a levush. These latent energy zones require, and this is an extremely important concept in Chabad philosophy, in the Tanya. It's one of the pillars, this realization that the latent energies within the soul require clothing. They require clothing in order to become manifest. They require clothing in order to become really tangible. So what does that mean? It means that clothing, the metaphor that is being used, and levushim is a metaphor that is used in many different Hasidic and mystical theologies and trends. Everyone uses the word levushim. In fact, the word levushim is originally used in the Zohar. The Zohar uses the Zohar, the book of splendor. The book of splendor, necessarily one of the first things the book of the Zohar starts using, the luminous light of splendor requires levushim, requires clothing, garments. And the metaphor is not 100% right on. It's not 100% right on, because I believe that our conception of clothing, why do we use clothing? In the mystical view, clothing, garments bring to light the light. Clothing is required to make manifest the power and energy of, let's say, Chachma, Bina, and Dat. So it's not 100. Why do we use clothing? We use clothing for, I think for a different reason. For different reasons. Yes, clothing does bring to light some of our personalities, some of what we wear. What you wear is what you are, but not necessarily. Like if we would all be if we would all be nudists, like, do we really need clothing? We might need clothing for other reasons, because not everyone wants to be a nudist. Not everyone wants to be that exposed. That's the part of the story in the Garden of Eden. As soon as they realized they were, so that requires some investigation. Why were they embarrassed? As soon as they sinned, they realized that they were naked and they were embarrassed. And that is the beginning of covering up. That's the beginning of clothing. But the actual truth is, you know, without getting crazy into we don't really, do we really need clothing in the mystical way that we are going to be using clothing here now? Maybe yes, maybe no. But in the mystical sense, our energy levels are so strong, are so powerful, that in order to be effective, these energy zones of wisdom, understanding, and knowledge have to be clothed to become effective, to become tangible, And what do you think these three garments are? What do you think we can say the skin, the soul, these soul energies require skin to cover them in order for them to release tangible vibrations. Maybe this is rhetorical, but think for a moment, what can these three levushim, these three garments that must be worn in order to release our full energies?
At the risk of opening the conversation and get you off track, how about thought, words, speech, and action?
Thought. Okay, what's the difference between speech and word?
Okay. I was confronted yesterday with words that were improper. You can't hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. I was confronted with words that were improper. I did not have a chance to use Chabad, but rash behavior, and so I walked away. Now, you don't always have an opportunity to say, now, what shall I do? But you're spontaneous, and that's a very big problem. That's when you can make mistakes.
Marilyn, I just simply have to agree with you. Spontaneity is a big problem. Spontaneity is one of the spices of life.
What do you do with it tomorrow?
And it also is a big problem if used improperly. And let's leave it at that. It is a problem. Spontaneity unleashed, big problem. We're going to get to that. Okay, so Kim, you were right on, except there aren't four, there are three. Because word and speech is the same.
I'm adapting.
Friends, look, really imagine this. The garment, the clothing of these three energies of wisdom and understanding, the power of those three things are always going to be clothed in three different garments. And those garments are the garments of, believe it or not, it's gonna begin with the garment of thought itself. The garment of word, and the garment of deed. We're starting, in this case, we're starting from the highest, thought, word, deed, from higher to lower manifestations, from higher garments, from I would say lace garments, transparent garment, to a little bit thicker kind of garment, let's say to silk, which is word, to deed, which, I don't know, let's call it denim. If we're gonna use metaphors for the different types, in the three types of garments, that they have three different qualities to them. Thought is more lace and see-through. Word is more silky, very thin. And very easy. And then action. The garment of deed, which is denim. So the soul energies of Chabad, of Chachma, Bina, and Dat, have three corresponding garments that the soul wears. Our souls dwell in these three not only garments, but in these three modes of behavior. The soul manifests itself or herself. The soul manifests its energy in three separate modes of behavior. And that's modes of behavior is what we are comparing to garments, to different clothing. The soul is dressed. The soul dresses itself in order to be made manifest. Don't take anything what I'm saying literally, but use the metaphor. Use the metaphor. The soul is invested in three garments. And remember what the word investment comes from? Remember in Shemot, the vestments of the Kohen Gadol, the clothing. Vestments is the clothing of the Kohen Gadol to reflect the great glory of divinity. So there's certain clothing, vestments that are important. The soul is invested. That means the soul has to wear some clothing in order to come to its true place. And those three vestments, garments, are machshava in Hebrew. Let's learn the Hebrew a little bit. Machshava, you know that from the Maimonides class. Machshava is thought. You know what a computer in modern Hebrew is called? Machshevet. From the word machshava is the world of thought. So they started calling a computer a machshevet, a machine that thinks, a machine of thought. Machshevet. So machshava is a garment of thought. The soul is dressed in a garment of thought, in the garment of speech, and in the garment of deed. The soul operates out of these three realms, these three modes of behavior. So again, I ask you, if the soul operates from these three modes of behavior, I just ask you to contemplate, what would you do if you lost your capacity of thinking, you lost your capacity of speech, and you lost your capacity of deed?
Rabbi, can I ask you a question?
And without getting Donna too excited, I would, because we have that one thing pending, that very good question pending, but without getting too excited, without our garment of our dress of thought, of speech, of action, of deed, our human capacity is actually nil. Is nil. Let's face it. Yeah, please.
Rabbi, oh, I forgot what I was, I forgot what I was gonna say. I guess it wasn't important. Forgot.
Okay.
Oh, recognition, Rabbi. Where does recognition come into this?
Shabri, to answer your question, everything under the sun, anything and everything that any human being is capable of doing is somehow under the category of these three things, of thought, speech, and action. Recognition, recognition can fall under thought. I can recognize you through thought. I can recognize you through speech because I'm talking to you, and I can recognize you through deed when I give you a hug, or I send you a box of chocolates. So there is. It's a good question, because I want everyone to realize There is no human function that we are capable of that is not somehow within these three categories. So recognition can come up in all three or just in one. But talk about any other thing, and you will find it somewhere in the mode, in the realm of either thought, speech, or deed. And that's how the soul functions through these garments and creates reality, produces reality out of going through these garments, through these veils. And we'll get deeper into these three, how these three garments, how we are able, because we're, friends, we're able to, with garments, that's part of the beauty of the metaphor. With garments, we're able to modify garments. That's why it's a great analogy. We're able to modify our garments, to color our garments, to take off our garments, to put on more garments of the same. So garment has a lot to do with free will and choice. What garment do you want to wear today? What focus on what garment do you want to focus today? How do we get all three garments working together in order to facilitate the three streams of Chachma, Bina, and Dat going through these clothing that we dress up in? What do you want to dress up in? The garment of thought, the garment of speech, the garment of deed. What garment do you want less of? What garment do you want to strip off of yourself? So we're going to talk about garments and levushim.
And can we add, just as the final note at 1:30, do we want to get stains on our garments?
Yeah.
How do we remove our stains?
How dirty do we want? Can we tolerate our garments to be? And how often do we do laundry? What is the mandatory? What is,
To carry on next week. Nita, did I see that you wanted to say something? But you have to unmute. Are you okay? I can't tell. Shake your head yes or no if you will have a comment. Are you okay?
So Kim, that next week's class can be called Laundry Day.
We'll do the laundry next week. Okay, everyone. Thank you so much, Rabbi Akiva. It is always food for thought. We'll see you next week.
Okay. Love you all.
Shabbat shalom. Shalom.